What's up? What's up? Good morning. We're back. Lots going on in the world right now. I can't believe the pace of the news cycle. It's been 48 hours since I live streamed, and there's already been like at least 4 or 5 major news announcements. So yeah, I don't know. Might have to start live streaming every day. I think that's the plan anyway. Yeah, lots going on. I'm going to get into the markets. The markets are looking all green today, which is great. Nice to see. We'll get into all that, but there's like a lot of stuff I want to get through. So yeah, welcome. Get into the live chat there. Say hi. Good morning. Tell me where you are. Super cold here. For those living in the northern hemisphere, I hope you're enjoying summer. I'm here in the south, so we're just getting into the heat of winter right now, which is not great. I mean, I can't complain too much. Grew up in Canada. It's basically like where I grew up, like 8 months of winter per year. Horrible. Don't recommend. Especially now. Canada's basically a communist hellhole, so don't recommend. Super nice cities, beautiful place, beautiful cities. Not in love with where the government's going though. Anyways, the big news that's going on right now is Fable is back. I don't know how many of you have played around with Fable so far. There's been like a little bit of mixed reviews. I mean, Fable's great. Don't get me wrong. Fable is like a very high performing. The little bit that I got to play with it before it got banned, I got like a couple prompts through that were very, very impressive. Like basically like very good at coding, like incredibly good at coding, good at debugging, all that sort of stuff. It's just, I don't know because of keywords or what, but a lot of prompts are getting reverted back to like Opus 4.8, which is not fun. But regardless, still a super impressive model. I don't know if you've seen like some of the benchmarks, but I'm gonna look up Batang. There's can't find his handle now. Anyways, there's these. I'm sure you guys know the benchmarks that they use. So the benchmark, the Cyber Gym is like the main one that they use for coding, and Fable is like the highest scoring for coding. But the Cyber Gym benchmark, they basically, I think they were using the preview before like this Fable 5 came back out globally, but they said that basically all their prompts got rejected and reverted back to Opus 4.8, so they couldn't even like score it, this one benchmark that I was following. So anyways, my prediction of what's coming up here is that GPT 5.6 is probably going to be next to launch. Thibault here, he works for OpenAI, Codex specifically. So yeah, he gave a little bit of insight. He's saying like, hey, can't wait to see what people do with 5.6 Sol Ultra. So I think that's their highest performing model. That's the one that's gonna have like similar benchmarks to Fable and Mythos. So yeah, very excited for that. I think for me, it makes sense that they launch this thing next week on July 8th. Just a prediction. Let's see what happens. But I have a good feeling that, I mean, maybe they put it out sooner, but like, I think a lot of people are going to be super disappointed because on July 7th, Fable ends, and I think you can only access it through API. So you're not going to be able to use like your regular subscription to use Fable anymore as of July 7th. So I think, I mean, from a business perspective, it makes a lot of sense for OpenAI to launch 5.6 on July 8th because you can capture probably a ton of disappointed Fable users who want similar capabilities but under their subscription. So yeah, I have a feeling if they're being very strategic about this, OpenAI should probably launch that on July 8th. So that's my prediction anyway. We'll see what happens. Probably get a lot of subs if they do it that route. But yeah, let's see. Anyone else, like, get into the comments if you've had a chance using Fable. My experience, like I said, is just anecdotal. I've already had like 3 prompts rejected and reverted to Opus 4. Still trying to like figure out like a workaround and what the keywords are that's like knocking it down. But yeah, it's a little bit frustrating. But the anytime I do get access to Fable, and it's definitely very impressive. So yeah, I don't know. Shout out both companies for introducing these like good frontier models. I still think, I mean, I ranted about it a lot on my last live stream. I still think that the frontier models are going to have like a real competition with open source. Open source is getting very close. I think what's it called? The GLM 5.2, which is an open source model, I think out of China. But it's got like, it scores very, very high on the benchmarks. Like it's the cybersecurity, the cyber gym benchmark. It's like just below Mythos and Fable. So open source is only like a couple months, 3 months, I would say, behind. I bet you 3 months GLM probably puts out like 5.3, and it's similar to Fable's capabilities today. So yeah, good to see. I would love to see way more open source models coming out of like the Western Hemisphere. Also, we need like a little bit more decentralization in that sense. So yeah, hopefully we get more competition on that front. But I went into a long rant about this, so I won't do this again. Watch my last live stream. I talked about this, but I think that the best route for open source models is to go after like hyper specialization. Take like a base GLM 5.2, which has like very impressive scores already, and then just hyper train like your specialization around like whatever you want it to be, finance, medical, whatever use cases that that you think, and just create these hyper specialized models, and then you can give like a real competition to these generalized models. Because for example, like if I'm training Charles to be one of the best traders on Hyperliquid, which I am, I'm going to want like a hyper specialized model that's specifically for like trading and finance, and knows charts very well, knows the ins and outs of trading, and like trailing stops and stop losses, take profits, like, and like charts, and like yeah, like the different indicators and stuff that go along with it. And these generalized models, they have good general knowledge in all these areas, but a hyper specialized model that was specifically trained on trading could probably beat them out in that category. So I think I want to see more projects going after this. I hope we can see that. In other news on the same subject, though, so we are also seeing on the frontier model front, like OpenAI is now proposing giving the U.S. government a 5% stake in OpenAI. So basically, like gifting some of their shares to the U.S. government. I've got like a little bit of a nuanced take here. I think first, let's backtrack. Like, why are they doing this? Well, what's happening is they've been fear mongering for a very long time. Like if you go back, like Dario, especially like the CEO of Anthropic, he's been just fear mongering the general public for like many, many years. I think like 2023, 2024 already, he was like just talking about like the fears of open source models, and like basically his game is like get open source models outlawed, and then the frontier models have this moat and they can just like capture a monopoly, which is not fair. But also like there's been a lot of fear mongering around the dangers of AI, like rightfully so. Like there are definitely fears ahead. There's a lot of layoffs happening and stuff like that. My personal opinion is that we're going to go through like probably a 5-year stretch here maybe it's a little bit, there's quite a bit of turmoil. Maybe a lot of people do get laid off, and at the same time, a lot of new jobs get created, but like that's not really great for the average person, who basically has to be retrained on these new jobs. I do think that long term, more jobs are created than are lost, which happens with every single like new revolution that happens, like the industrial revolution, the printing press, like all this stuff. Like there was a lot of fear mongering around that also. Like the printing press is going to lead to like all these newspaper, um, and, or sorry, yeah, like whatever. A lot of previous employees uh, being let go, and because of newspapers, and then the same thing with like horses and cars, and a lot of people were upset because yeah, cars are going to replace all these horses and all these jobs like for these horse trainers, and yeah, blah blah blah. But I think like in the end, you see it net, and there's always like more jobs created than are lost. But I think there's going to be like a little bit of 5-year turmoil, until we get to that point, where yeah, like new people need to be trained on these new skills, and people like the hardest that it's going to hit are the people like a little bit like middle-aged or upper-aged, where they've been training for something their entire lives, and maybe that profession goes away, and they have to be retrained in a whole new profession. That's going to be tough for a lot of people. So I definitely get that. But there's at the same time, there's a lot of opportunity for the people that do have like good work ethic and ambition, and want to like train themselves on this new technology. And I mean, that's the whole reason why I started this live stream, this podcast, is just to help people kind of understand the like AI and crypto, which I think are just two revolutionary technologies that are going to help the average person like stay out of this permanent underclass that's coming, because it's definitely coming. Anyways, that was like a very long-winded roundabout way of getting to the point that like, hey, there's been a lot of fear mongering, and basically the end result here is that like now there's people like protesting these data centers that are coming up. Like a lot of people, just especially the younger generation right now, like really hate AI, because of their fear of like losing opportunities with their jobs and futures, which is understandable. So like OpenAI and Anthropic and these big massive companies now who are worth literally trillions of dollars, they have to do something to turn this around. They have to do something to give back to the average person, or else this hate on their companies is going to continue, and hating on your company is just not a good business model. So they got to do something. And so that, I guess that's the reasoning behind them proposing this 5% stake. I guess the idea here is that the US government gets, I mean, then there's guys like Bernie Sanders who want like OpenAI and Anthropic to give up like 50% of their equity to the US government. So my nuanced take here, it's great that they want to do something, but governments, especially large federal governments, are the worst capital allocators on the planet. I like, the only thing that I can hope or wish is that if Anthropic and OpenAI and these big companies want to do something to get the general public back on their side, like go direct. Or if you're going to make a deal with the government, like make sure it goes directly to the citizens. Like one thing that Trump is doing, which I think is a good idea, is the Trump accounts, where they're going to basically just like put shares of companies directly into the accounts of like newborn kids. I think that's a great initiative. Just don't let the government get in between this. Like, don't let them be the middleman, or because like it's just a mess. They're horrible capital allocators. Like, look what happens with the budgets every single year. The government just keeps getting larger and larger. It doesn't matter if you vote for left, doesn't matter if you vote for right. Government gets larger every year. There's no like inkling of making the budget smaller ever again. It's a train that's getting out of control, and it's not going to stop. So yeah, I guess that's kind of my nuanced take here, is that like, great that you want to do this, but like I hope we can find a way to give something back directly to the citizens, directly to the users. I would far rather love to see this stay in the private markets. This is why myself personally, with my AI, Charles AI, we've got like a big side project that we're working on in the background, to introduce like a new network state model, where something like this can be kept in the private sector. So we're building the infrastructure for this now. At least I want to like throw a model out there that I think could work. More to come on that in the future, but like, yeah, we need to find a way that every single person in the world can benefit from AI, because everybody knows that AI is going to be huge. It's just who's going to benefit the most. Right now, it looks like these frontier agencies, models, companies, conglomerates, whatever you want to call them, OpenAI, Anthropic, which like Anthropic is on pace, I think, to IPO at like a 2-3, some are saying $4 billion or $1 trillion valuation, is absolutely wild. So it's very clear that power and capital is centralizing, and that's always scary. You don't want everything centralizing to one point. That is how corruption begins, when you have these central points of attack and corruption. That's dangerous. So I hope we can come up with a more decentralized model. I think network states are possibly this model. What's up? People in the chat here, welcome, appreciate you. Yeah, I don't know, get into the chat, let me know your feedback. I want to hear what other people think, but I think network states are a potential model, like a decentralized. I mean, ultimately, what they lead to is like a second citizenship for humans, and I think that we can develop a model for this where you can have this second citizenship, and everyone can benefit from AI, and the capital can flow within this network state, the sovereign model, and flow back to the citizens of this network state. So let's see what happens. I mean, so much more going on right now. Another thing happening specifically we've got some comments. You think the opposite? Talk to me about it. Throw it in the chat there. Let me know. What do you think? Like, you think that the power should be in the hands of the centralized government? Do you trust the centralized government to have the citizens' best interests at stake? The problem is, like, even if they do have the right intentions, like, so much bad stuff has happened even though people have good intentions. And the problem is that there's so much corruption in the centralized governments already that it just takes a couple bad apples and steers everything in the wrong direction. And governments are just historically horrible capital allocators. They don't know how to get budgets under control. Like you see in the United States, the Pentagon has never passed an audit financially. Like, it's a mess. Governments are historically takers, not makers. I think free capital markets are the makers, and governments are in general takers. And then there's people that take advantage of these big beasts that are the government and just try to extract everything that they can from them. So I just think that's a bad model, but my take. Other stuff going on in crypto. there's a big announcement from what's called Open Standard. Let me pull this up here. So Open Standard introduced this new stablecoin called OpenUSD. And my kind of general take on this is I have a prediction that this ends up being as open for stablecoins as OpenAI is for open source AI. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but this is a big conglomerate of like, I think 140 different companies from like the traditional world, mainly a little bit from crypto. I think if you scroll through the announcement or their page here, you can see some of the partners. Like you've got Shopify, Ramp, DoorDash, Visa, MasterCard. Don't even know what that is. Yeah, MasterCard, MoneyGram, BBVA, another bank, Tempo, Solana's in there, Coinbase. Anyways, like a whole wide range of partners that they have coming together to form this new like Open USD, OUSD, I think it's going to be called. I mean, the biggest benefactor here are these like corporations that are coming together. Some kind of open questions that I have around this is like, okay, so basically the whole model here, I believe, is that they want to all share. Like, for example, Tether is the issuer of USDT, and Tether gets, so people like you mint a dollar. Sorry, you deposit a dollar, like a real dollar from a bank, from the traditional banking system, and you mint a Tether on chain, one Tether, so it's 1-to-1. And Tether controls your dollars at that point. They're giving you a Tether, like a USDT on chain, and but they get your dollars in the traditional banking world, and they need to like custody these dollars and be the custodians, but they also get the yield from these. So what they've been doing is like putting these into T-bills, like treasury bills, or different ways of collecting yield, and collecting like right now, like what I think 10-year T-bills, 10-year treasury notes are collecting like 4% interest, somewhere around there, which is wild. So like you get a Tether, you're not getting any of that yield, right? Like you get your USDT on chain, you don't get any yield. You're giving up your dollars, and Tether is collecting that 4% yield. So they're literally making billions and billions of dollars in revenue every single year. Like Tether, which is a great business model, like amazing business model. They're one of the biggest revenue producing like companies in the world at this point, which is absolutely wild. So what Open Standard is trying to do a little bit differently is kind of like spread that out and share this yield with the founding people that are part of this Open Standard, like all the ones that I just mentioned. The problem with this is like, what about the end user? This is my biggest, this is my biggest kind of like front about all this is like, why is no one ever caring about the end user? Like, why can't you pass along the yield to the end user? This is what they're fighting about with the Clarity Act also, by the way. The Clarity Act that's supposed to be signed into law this year now has like a 40% chance of passing. One of the main things is that banks are like working very hard, and a lot of these corporations, to block being able to pass this yield directly to the end user, which is like crazy, like criminal, some would say. But this is how banks have been operating for forever. Like basically you deposit your dollars into a US bank, and they take your dollars, the same as like a stablecoin issuer. They take your dollars, they go put it into T-bills, into other investments. They make money off your money. And what do you get for a savings account yield? Like 0.1%, like nothing. They give you nothing, and they make money off your money. It's what a business model. Again, this is one of the main reasons I got into crypto. I just think that this whole um, business model of middlemen collecting money off your money is just so criminal, and it needs to change. And this is something that can change. These open decentralized blockchains like Ethereum, like Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin's not programmable, but Bitcoin kind of led the way. Ethereum made everything programmable, and other blockchains, they enable like everything to be way more fair, transparent, everything on chain. It's very easy to pass along the yield directly to end users. It's just, I don't know, every single big powerful organization and government just seems to not want end users to benefit, which is crazy to me. So I hope that can change, but my prediction is that that's not going to change with open standard anyway. You were starting to see a little bit better with like Circle. Like everybody knows, USDC. Coinbase was trying to pass along yield, and then they got immediately shut down by the government and regulators for this. There was a point when you could deposit, I think US citizens could deposit like their USDC into Coinbase, and they would just automatically start earning like 3 or 4%, which was like great to see. Coinbase tried that, and then the regulators just shut them down. So they had to stop doing that. So I don't know. It's very sad to see that these big corporations and governments just keep on winning, and to the detriment of the end users and us. So the Clarity Act right now, it has like I said, about a 40% chance of passing into law right now. I'm still like fairly optimistic that this could pass. What sucks about this Clarity Act though is it's not that great for the end user. Coinbase and other people have been fighting to improve it, but basically the agreement that they came to for this Clarity Act is that these stablecoin issuers would not be able to pass along this yield directly to end users. However, there is a slight loophole if this passes, that they will be able to, through a roundabout way, be able to pass some yield to end users, but not passively. There's going to have to be some sort of action on behalf of the user. Maybe they're going to have to like stake, or maybe they're going to have to, I don't know, use the platform in some way, do some sort of user actions, and maybe governance, voting, anything like that, and then they'll be able to pass along this yield, just not passively. So I'm still hopeful that this can pass. The problem that we're facing right now is, well, Scott Melker had a good take on this. Let me pull up his tweet. He's been very bearish about the odds of Clarity Act passing because of basically his main argument is that they won't be able to agree on ethics, which is a whole nother subject. But basically that is the only thing that is holding up this Clarity Act from passing right now, is the ethics code that they're trying to put into this bill. My own perspective is, I agree that it's going to be very hard for them to like find a path forward on this. I think the Democrats are the ones that are holding this up. Like the Republicans are all voting for the Clarity Act, but they need, I think, 7 or 8 Democratic senators to also vote for it, and that's where they're not getting the bipartisan support. They've got the bipartisan support and agreement on the yield already, and on some like developer protections that are super, super important for the crypto industry. But the only thing that they're not agreeing on right now is this ethics. So basically, and then this news story comes out about Trump and how he's profited like over $1 billion this past year from the crypto industry. I'm not sure if it all came from the crypto industry. It's hard to know what you can believe with the mainstream news these days. But yeah, I don't know. I think the Democrats are being a little bit hypocritical here. My take is that this should be just removed from this bill completely. Like everything else is agreed on. Like work on a separate bill. Like I know this is very hard for them to do in the United States. I don't know why, but like pass a separate bill around this. Like I agree that like there should be some ethics in politics. Like politicians should not be able to like what's the average salary of a senator? It's like $150,000, $200,000 a year. Yet most senators are multi-millionaires. Like the most egregious example of this is Nancy Pelosi, who's worth like $300 million or $400 million off a $200,000 a year salary, which is absolutely wild. One of the best traders in the world, obviously because of inside information that she gets from the U.S. government and trades with that information, I'm sure, even though officially she is not in charge of her trading, but come on, everybody knows what's happening in the back. So anyways, my take, of course, like this insider trading and stuff should be kept out of the government. You should not be able to be a senator and be trading in the stuff that you're regulating or in the stuff that you're voting for. It's wild that this is happening, but this is happening in the traditional finance and stock markets also. So the fact that they are using this as a specific thing that's holding up the entire clarity bill is absolutely like disgraceful, in my opinion. Like take it out of the bill. Like everything else is agreed to. Take it out of the bill. Make a separate bill or pass it in another bill, and fight on it in another bill. They have like other big bloated bills that they're trying to get passed. Use those to try to pass this. This should be a larger debate, and it should not just be for crypto. It should be for stocks. Like I know that they're trying to pass another act where members of government can trade in the stock market. Like combine those together and make it like one big separate bill where this ethics stuff all passes in that bill. Anyways, let's see what happens. Apparently July 17th, the Clarity Act is going to be in the Senate. So I don't know what that means yet. I doubt that they're voting on it. Like maybe it's just like a debate period. I'm not exactly sure, but July 17th, something's happening. So we should have a little bit of a better idea what's going on. So yeah, I don't know. I really hope that we can get that Clarity Act passed, not just for the yield and making things slightly more fair for the end user, but also because there's some like really important developer protections. Anyone that's been working in the crypto space, like myself, for a very long time, I've been here since 2016, working full-time in the space since 2017, and there's been some like egregious stuff going on with developers, like with Uniswap and with other protocols where the U.S. government has just gone after these like good protocols that are trying to like bring these revolutionary new products to U.S. users and just getting like absolutely destroyed and like sued by the SEC and all this sort of stuff. Tornado Cash was another egregious example. Yes, like mixers have they do attract like nefarious users, but like I don't know, like you shouldn't be able to be put in jail for writing code. They're just words. Like if you can be put in jail for writing code, you should be able to be put in jail for writing books. But we have freedom of speech around writing books. How is writing code any different? So this Clarity Act, I hate how they do things in the United States, how everything gets bundled together. Like these are all just important topics on their own. And it's sad that they all have to get bundled together. Like pass them one by one would be so much better, but it is how it is. And I really hope this Clarity Act gets passed. Yeah, one for the yield and helping out the end user and the end user being able to benefit from some of this yield, but two, also the developer protection so that a future government can't just go after developers again and throw them in jail for simply writing code. So that's my rant on that. Another piece of news here. Robinhood just announced that the new Robinhood chain just went live, I believe, on mainnet yesterday. This is cool in the sense that traditional like finance is like very much coming on chain, and that's a very good signal. That's a very cool thing to see. Like Robinhood has a lot of US users, a lot of global users, I believe also. I think they're mainly US based, but I think they have users in like Europe and other places also. I think in Canada also. I think they're launching this new Robinhood chain in Canada and the UK, I believe. I'm not exactly sure. It's probably coming to the US next. But yeah, so the Robinhood, for those that don't know, Robinhood has a RobinhoodApp. They got super famous for their stock trading, super user-friendly experience. And now they're moving like a majority of this on chain, which is pretty wild and like awesome to see. Just a great signal of the world, traditional finance world, moving on chain. The demos that they showed basically make it look like the Robinhood app has like the new experience on Robinhood chain is like very similar to the traditional finance user experience, where you'll be able to like buy stocks, but on chain it's going to be tokenized stocks, and you'll be able to like use leverage. I believe they have like options and stuff also. I'm not sure if those are also coming on chain right away or if that's later. But it's super cool. Like within a split second, this is built on Ethereum. This is on Arbitrum to be specific. It's a new L2 based on Arbitrum, so it's super fast, like sub 1 second like settlement. So from the end user's like point of view, like it feels just like the traditional Robinhood app, but it's all done on chain. Super cool to see. Like I said, great signal of like the whole traditional finance world eventually moving on chain. I mean, it's a whole nother subject, but yeah, like a lot of these RWAs, like tokenized stocks moving on chain, there's a bunch of benefits to that. Because like a lot of these, like if you go on Hyperliquid and stuff right now, you can get exposure to stocks. Like you can trade Tesla, you can trade Nvidia, but they're just perps. So like you're going long Tesla, going long Nvidia on Hyperliquid. You're not actually getting like the shareholder benefits that you would from owning the actual stock. So that's the benefit of these tokenized stocks actually coming on chain. And that's, I think, like Robinhood's trying to help bring that on chain, where like you'll be able to like own these stocks 1-to-1, and you'll actually get like, if a stock is paying out yield, you'll be able to collect that yield just like you would from owning the actual shares, but it's all done on chain. So you get to hold custody of like a coin basically in your wallet that represents the actual stock. So yeah, very cool to see. I like to see. I mean, I've talked about it for ages. Like, go follow my ex, and I've been talking about for years and years and years that eventually the entire world is going to move on chain. Everything that can be tokenized will be tokenized. So yeah, awesome to see. Yeah, a lot of news. Oof. I mean, and then if you're looking at the markets right now, wow, Ethereum is getting like a good push right now. Ethereum's up to 1,700. BTC at 62K. So yeah, the markets are looking green right now. Great to see. We talked about on the last live stream, I think like we're getting very near bottom here, if not already at a bottom. Could shoot up from here. I think a lot of things that were holding back the market before was like a lot of the Master and Michael Saylor drama that we talked about on the last live stream there. Basically, like everyone was trying to figure out like, okay, what's Michael Saylor's like next move? Because if Bitcoin keeps going down, is he going to be forced to sell a bunch of Bitcoin? And that keeps people on the sidelines, right? Like you don't want to put a bunch of money into Bitcoin if you know that some guy's going to sell $1 billion worth of it the next week. So he made a big announcement yesterday, or sorry, a few days ago, around just capitalizing. He sold a bunch of master stock and capitalized his USD reserves, which is so I think he's got like 26 months of yield reserves now that he can pay out for the next 26 months. So that takes a lot of pressure off the market. It means that like at minimum, he wouldn't be a forced seller in Bitcoin for at least 26 months. He wouldn't be forced to sell any Bitcoin. So that's a good thing. So I think that gives people a little bit of relief about putting money back into the markets. There's also been a little bit of signal in like a bit of I talked about on the last live stream, like in this new AI age, capital moves very, very quick. A lot of, because like all these high frequency traders and AI bots, the capital moves very, very fast and concentrates to like one or two narratives very, very fast. And like what's happening right now is like memory, like the memory trade has been like a big trade in the stock market, like the AI trade. And a lot of money has been moving into like memory stocks. And now that there's a little bit of a turn happening where memory is selling off and Bitcoin's going up. And I talked about it a little bit, but like once that shift happens, the narrative can so fast. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Here's another thing I'm watching right now. The intersection of AI and crypto is like looking really good here. Venice made a big announcement yesterday that they just raised $65 million from outside capital, which is another subject. But yeah, basically the intersection of AI crypto, like where crypto, these kind of like crypto native projects like Venice, like Pod, like Ray. I think 3 very good examples, all on base actually, of like consumer products that have the chance to like really hit like consumer scale, like mass adoption by consumers, and they all have like tokens behind them, which is like great to see. I hope eventually like every single popular consumer made product has like a tokenized token behind it. Because this is just a lot more democratizing, a lot more fair for everybody. I went on a big rant about this in the past about how that like the average person does not get access to early investments in these early stage projects a lot of the time because it's blocked by accreditation laws. You have to be like basically a multi-millionaire, like an accredited investor in order to get into these private rounds. So it's just it's very, very cool to see. Like you can basically invest in Venice the same as like a VC can. So like VCs did just buy into Venice. We'll get into it on a future episode about like the whole equity and token split that Venice has going on, which is like up for debate right now. A lot of people don't agree with the model. A lot of people do. My quick take is that you kind of have to meet investors where they are, but we'll get into it like in a future live stream. But like I love what Venice is doing. The good news about their raise is that they raised $65 million from equity, which means that they didn't have to sell $65 million worth of VVV tokens in order to raise it, because they do need to scale now. They have millions of users already, but they can get hundreds of millions, billions of users like ChatGPT. They need capital to get there, so they're gonna have to raise a lot of money, and it is good that they're not selling their token to do it. And the average person can get into these projects because you can buy the token, get exposure to this. Like VVV has the model that they're planning to like burn as many tokens as possible from revenue. Pod, similar. I think the Pod's model is that they take their revenue and like it all goes into pod buybacks. I don't think they're burning, but they're buying back their token, which is also very good. Ray hasn't like updated their token model yet, but because they haven't really like gone public with their consumer product yet. But I think Ray is going to be another one to watch. Like what they're doing is truly unique. They're an AI research company that's building a new model for AI to compete with like LLMs. It's like this new core model. I think it's super intriguing what they're doing. I think they have a real shot of massive consumer adoption also. And so I'm keeping an eye on this right now. All of them are getting like pretty strong bids. So good to see. I hope we can get like more big consumer products like these that are on token, like on crypto rails, so that the average person can get exposure to these. So yeah, awesome to see. Markets are looking good. They just opened up. I think it's holidays in the US, long weekend. So I don't think markets are open tomorrow. So today's going to be kind of the day to everyone get their bids in before the long weekend. So should have some good action in the markets today. Let's see what happens. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'll be live streaming, I don't know, as often as there's news. So many times a week, probably eventually 5 times a week. I'm going to get some, I got some guests lined up, just working out schedules with a lot of different people. So for now, get in, follow the live stream if you can on X. I appreciate you. Go subscribe on YouTube also. We live stream this across X, across YouTube, across Kick, and across Twitch. So get in, subscribe on each of these platforms. The more subscribers that I get, the better it is for me for getting quality guests in here. I've got some great ones coming up. I'm just working on scheduling and dates. But yeah, stay tuned, folks. Thanks for coming out today. We'll see you soon.